Spike is a young, wealthy man adored by every woman around him, and he has a son named Chen, a real little troublemaker. The boy listens to no one and flat out refuses to go to school, so Spike decides to take him to work as his personal secretary. Chen is mischievous and restless, but soon he bursts into tears because deep down, he carries a trauma. He misses his mother who passed away when he was born. What he wants most is a new mom, and he even begs his father for one, but sadly, Spike once swore he would never love another woman again. Meanwhile, Siri is a single mother who arrives late to pick up her daughter Mari from school. The little girl has a brain tumor, and Siri urgently needs money for the operation. The only chance to save her daughter's life is to take her to a specialist in the United States. Spike catches sight of Siri and is completely captivated by her beauty, but the moment turns awkward when she suddenly trips and falls to the ground, landing hard on her backside. As he steps outside, he notices that she scratched his car and asks for her phone number to file a report. Although she doesn't want to, she gives it to him, hoping she'll never have to see him again. But fate has other plans, because they meet again at their children's school. While the kids treat each other with sweetness and innocence, the parents silently hate each other with uncontrollable irritation. Siri thinks he's arrogant, and Spike believes she's a cold, heartless woman. But Chen, who deeply misses having a mother, doesn't agree. In fact, he tells his father that he wishes Siri could be his mom. Hearing this, the grandfather talks to Siri and secretly arranges a surprise blind date for both of them, without them knowing. In the garden, as she helps water the plants, he blurts out a proposal. His son needs a mother, and Siri can't provide the life he can give her daughter. Her shock turns to anger and grabs the hose and sprays him down, drenching him from head to toe. Furious, she tells him she wants nothing more than a professional relationship, not a place for him in her home or her heart. Grandpa walks in, sees the scene, and faints. When he asks what happened, Spike announces he proposed and that they'll marry in a few months. Grandpa beams and Siri plays along because Grandpa's illness reminds her of Mari's condition. She doesn't want to upset him. Before leaving, she asks Spike to tell the truth soon. He refuses, saying he truly wants to marry her and will wait for her answer. The next day, a problem breaks out between the kids. They've fought again. The man scolds his son, and in anger, the boy shouts that he wants a new mom right now. He even says that his dad is mean and wishes he would go to hell. To comfort the child, she offers a mom hug and says he can call her mom whenever he needs one. He agrees on the spot. She also points out that his words probably hurt his dad, and the boy apologizes, telling Spike he loves him and never wants him to leave. Spike thanks Siri for stepping in. Later, Chen asks when he'll see Siri again. He wants her around every day. The boy tells his father he should marry the woman because he really wants a little brother. And that simple comment makes Spike realize it's been so long since he last kissed someone. Taking his son's advice to heart, he joins her to pick up the kids from school. The children chatter happily about how much fun they've had, but the moment they spot their parents, they share a mischievous look and rush off together, leaving the two adults alone, just as they planned. The evening takes a turn when Spike gifts Siri a bouquet of roses, the flower language meaning dream person. To him, that's what she is. Unfortunately, Siri turns out to be allergic and ends up in the hospital. Spike reaches out to help her with the medicine. It's awkward, unexpectedly intimate, yet there's a warmth there, a small spark neither of them can ignore. Later, Siri goes on a blind date set up by her best friend and tries her hardest not to look appealing. The man admits he was forced to come and isn't seeking a relationship. They hit it off anyway. They share plenty in common. By chance, Spike sees them, sits behind Siri and listens in. When the guy flirts, Spike steps up and introduces himself as her husband. Siri is furious. He's gone way too far this time. She tries to leave but fails and drags him to eat foods he hates out of spite. Eventually, she opens up. She doesn't believe they'd work. They come from different worlds, and that means obstacles. Spike says the opposite. He'll adapt, and he'll take care of her and her daughter, and he proves it by eating every dish he dislikes. Soon after, he brings her to the company to finalize a major contract, the one that could fund Marie's surgery. From a distance, a woman named Tom, who's been in love with Spike since they were kids, spots them and sets her revenge plan in motion. Spike steps away, and Siri is handed a document. It's a termination. Confused and devastated, she signs, then breaks down in the restroom. Tom finds her and twists the knife. They used you? Big companies only hire people with stacked resumes, and you're not that. She spirals. Tom warns her to stay away from Spike. No one suits him better than Tom, and that Siri is barely acceptable. Siri confronts the CEO. He tries to understand, but she won't let him speak and storms out saying she'll never trust him again. And Spike knows exactly who engineered this. He wants to run after Siri, but gets hauled into a shareholders meeting. That night, Siri attends a business dinner with her boss. He pressures her to drink. She refuses until he guilt trips her for losing a big account. She ends up sick in the restroom. Spike calls. A bystander answers and tells him where she is. He arrives just as the boss tries to take advantage. Spike pulls Siri to safety and scolds her. How could she risk herself over a project? Siri erupts. Everything she does is for her daughter. He was born privileged. He doesn't understand sacrifice. Since meeting him, it's been one disaster after another. Then the call comes. Her firm has gone bankrupt. He offers her a job again. It's money she badly needs. Under an awning, she confesses there's a mountain in her heart she can't climb or tear down. He says with the right person in your corner, you can. He offers to be that person, and she's visibly moved. The next morning, Mari collapses on the way to school. At the hospital, the outlook is grim. By chance, Spike is there for Grandpa's checkup. He finds Siri and learns the surgeon who could save Mari is completely booked. He comforts her. Grandpa watches from a distance. Treatment must begin, and it's expensive. Siri calls everyone she knows for help. Spike overhears and quietly pays for the medicine, calling it her first paycheck since he's hired her. The elder asks about Mari, and Siri explains her daughter has had a brain tumor since infancy and that she feels guilty for not raising the surgery funds. Grandpa tells her not to worry. His own surgeon is the same doctor, and he'll give Mari his slot. He's old and has lived well. The little girl's life is just starting. She refuses at first, then through tears accepts. As she watches how tenderly Spike treats Mari, Siri realizes her feelings have deepened. Nervous but resolute, she meets him in a hallway wearing a bridal-style veil and tells him she wants to become Chen's mother and his wife. He accepts immediately. They register the marriage and show Grandpa the certificates. He's overjoyed. He asks if Siri married for love or for her daughter. She's honest. Gratitude guided the decision, but she does have feelings because of how Spike has stood by her. Satisfied, Grandpa hints it's time they live together. After their marriage registration, Siri and Spike move into the grand house prepared by his grandfather, a place that instantly feels both too big and too intimate. Mari is thrilled by her new room, bouncing around with excitement, while Siri, overwhelmed by the sudden shift in her life, can hardly process the fact that she's now the wife of a CEO. The grandfather, happy beyond measure, insists on preparing a special room for the newlyweds, something that makes both of them extremely nervous, since even though they are legally married, there is still a distance between them. They awkwardly try to adjust to living together, with Spike maintaining his usual calm, distant demeanor, and Siri constantly reminding herself that this marriage was never meant to be real. Despite the contract-like start, they share small moments that make the air between them heavier with unspoken tension, accidental touches, shy glances, and even near kisses they both pretend to ignore. Then one of her friends asks the protagonist why he loves Siri when he barely even knows her. Spike replies that he admires her strength, her independence, and the way she faces hardship without complaint, saying he wants to be the place where she can be fragile and feel safe. Siri's heart beats wildly hearing that, and even her best friend smiles, convinced that Spike's feelings are real. However, later, when Spike's friend presses him in private, asking if he truly likes Siri, the CEO quietly admits he doesn't. He only married her to obtain something. At home, Siri watches her husband playing with the children, and, curious about his habits, asks a maid what he enjoys doing. She learns he plays billiards alone. Wanting to connect, Siri secretly practices the game to surprise him, but the attempt backfires completely. Spike becomes cold and cruel, scolding her for intruding, and bluntly tells her that their marriage is nothing but a contract. They will act like a couple in front of others, but behind closed doors, they are strangers. Heartbroken, Siri declares that if this marriage is fake, then neither will interfere in the other's private life or future. He agrees, leaving her crying in silence. That night, Chen catches sight of his mother's tears and bravely confronts his father, saying that he promised to treat Siri kindly but isn't keeping his word. Spike brushes him off, saying it's an adult matter, but the boy refuses to stay quiet. He comforts Siri, telling her he doesn't love his father anymore for making her cry. Siri hugs him tightly, touched that the boy she's grown to love now defends her. Because of that, she takes him to a huge market and buys him a toy, but suddenly the boy gets lost and the woman bursts into tears, frantically searching for him, terrified that someone might have kidnapped him. Just when she's about to go to the police, she finds him, and he tells her that a man with a lollipop talked to him, which means someone had tried to abduct him. Shocked, she goes straight to Spike to warn him about the danger. However, Spike panics and scolds Siri harshly, accusing her of being irresponsible and imposing her ideas on his son, and from that day, she starts sleeping on the couch. During an upcoming corporate event, he surprises Siri with a beautiful dress. Tom appears at the event, and Siri boldly introduces herself as the CEO's wife, and even kisses Spike in front of everyone, silencing Tom completely. Spike blushes, and though the kiss is unexpected, he doesn't pull away. Throughout the evening, he proudly introduces Siri as his wife, making Tom boil with jealousy. Later, in the restroom, Tom corners Siri, hissing that Spike is only using her, that she's not of his social class, and that their relationship won't last because they barely know each other. Siri replies that she doesn't care. She is his wife, and that's all that matters. When the event ends, a guest tries to hand Siri a bouquet of roses, but Spike quickly stops it, takes the flowers, and instead gives them to Tom, saying his wife is allergic. To Siri, he gives a bouquet without pollen. Confused by how much effort he puts into their fake marriage, she returns home to find him and the children waiting to take her to the market again. But before that, the kids sing her a song, thanking her for being such a kind and loving mom. And the love between the protagonists keeps growing. Their souls start to connect even more deeply, as if fate itself was slowly tying them together. Just as everything seems peaceful, Siri receives a call from her furious mother, angry that she got married without telling her. Spike gently tells her not to worry, that he'll play his husbandly role well, but Siri warns that her parents are strict. If they disapprove, they'll force a divorce. During lunch with Siri's parents and grandpa, Spike behaves impeccably, charming everyone and acting the perfect husband. Things go smoothly until Chen joins them, and the atmosphere shifts. Siri's father questions the marriage, wondering what will happen if the boy's biological mother ever returns. But Chen firmly declares that Siri is his only mother and that no one will ever replace her. His sincerity touches everyone, and even Siri's father softens. He finally gives them his blessing. That night, after her father gets Spike drunk, Siri scolds him affectionately and helps him to bed, where the CEO mumbles that he's happy to have her by his side, that with her, he feels free from the crushing expectations that always followed him. He leans in as if to kiss her, but falls asleep instead. Days later, they travel to Siri's village to hold a traditional wedding ceremony. Before the ritual begins, her father hands Spike a letter to give his daughter after the ceremony, admitting he hasn't been the best parent but loves her unconditionally. Spike can't wait and gives her the letter early. At first defensive, Siri softens as she reads her father's words. He tells her he'll always support her dreams and that she can always come home. The two reconcile, and during the ceremony, Spike changes his vows at the last minute, promising to stay by her side and treat her well no matter what life brings. Then, in front of everyone, he kisses her. They can't stop thinking about that kiss, and Siri even starts to believe their relationship might be real until she overhears Spike confessing to a friend that he only did it to please her parents, not because he truly loves her, though his tone betrays confusion about his own feelings. Back home, Siri grows cold, hurt by the idea that his affection is just obligation. When Spike notices her distance and asks what's wrong, she tells him directly that he only acts kind to her because he feels forced to, and that from now on, they'll only speak about the children or their fake marriage. Still, he hugs her tightly, whispering that his grandfather is watching, but deep down, his heart aches because he knows he's fallen for her. On the morning of Mari's long-awaited surgery, Spike faces a critical decision. His company is hosting an important international meeting overseas, but he cannot bring himself to leave Siri and the children during such a crucial moment, promising the girl before he leaves that he'll return before the operation begins. However, as the hours pass, Marie grows increasingly anxious when her father still hasn't come back, and Siri's nerves fray even more as the doctor warns her about the potential risks of the procedure. Just as her fear reaches its peak, Spike bursts into the hospital, having chosen to cancel the business trip entirely to stay by their side. He comforts the crying girl, signs the medical consent papers without hesitation, and tells Siri that everything will be fine, assuming full responsibility for whatever may happen. While waiting outside the operating room, Siri's parents try to reassure her, and after what feels like an eternity, the surgeon finally appears with good news. Marie has made it through the operation safely. Overwhelmed with relief, Siri collapses into tears, while Spike silently thanks the heavens that his family is safe. Later, as they watch the little girl recover, Spike receives a discreet phone call from his lawyer, who asks if he still plans to proceed with the arrangement, since he's now been married for some time and has clearly bonded with Siri and her child. He doesn't answer right away. Instead, he watches Siri playing sweetly with the two children, giving them the happiness they truly deserve. And in that moment, everything becomes clear to him. He no longer sees their marriage as an arrangement at all. She's the light within his nightmares, the girl who makes his heart shine and their souls seem bound together by a deep, undeniable love. Days later, Siri, now calmer, tells Spike that everything feels like a dream, that after so much pain, she finally has peace again, and that she wants to pursue her long-forgotten dream of becoming a jewelry designer. Not long after, Siri lands a job as a sales assistant at a jewelry boutique. When Spike learns that the store belongs to Tom, he immediately summons her to his office and warns her to stay away from his wife. On her first day, Siri clashes with a difficult client who insists on buying a particular pin that isn't for sale. When she refuses, the woman storms off and Tom uses the opportunity to humiliate Siri publicly. That night, Spike joins her in bed, gently wraps his arms around her as she sleeps, and for a brief moment, they feel like a real couple. Siri wakes up confused by his sudden closeness. Their eyes meet, full of questions neither dares to voice, before Spike quickly retreats to the couch, leaving her lost in thought. She no longer knows what to believe. Sometimes he acts like he truly loves her. Other times, he's as distant as ever, and his inconsistent behavior only deepens her confusion. One afternoon, chaos erupts when Spike's company becomes the target of a protest after an error in salary payments causes outrage among workers. As tensions rise outside the office, Siri rushes in to defend him and ends up getting hurt in the commotion. Instinctively, Spike shields her and takes a hit himself. Seeing blood on his arm, Siri bursts into tears and hugs him tightly, begging him not to scare her like that again. Instead of scolding, Spike confesses that he was terrified too, that the thought of something happening to her was unbearable. Overwhelmed by the moment, he finally kisses her, deeply and passionately, no longer able to hold back his feelings. To his relief, she kisses him back, pouring into that kiss all the emotions she's been holding inside. Later that night, still confused but hopeful, Siri tries to speak with him about what happened, but her courage fails her. She ends up drinking too much, trying to find the words to ask if he truly loves her. Clumsy and flushed, she stumbles into his arms, and when he tries to help her into bed, they trip, falling together. Lying beneath him, Siri looks into his eyes and whispers the question that's been haunting her. "Do you really love me?" Just as he's about to answer, she passes out. The next morning, she wakes with a headache and immediately asks if anything happened. He hesitates but tells her nothing did, though he tenses when she quietly asks why he married her in the first place. Was it just to gain custody of her daughter? Spike avoids the question, knowing she's closer to the truth than she realizes. From that moment, they begin working side by side, their connection growing stronger each day. However, a man named Billy suddenly enters the girl's life. With Spike constantly buried in work, Billy steps in as her Prince Charming, inspiring her to chase her dreams and showering her with all the jewelry she could ever desire. Grateful, Siri invites him to dinner to thank him personally, but their meeting doesn't go unnoticed. Spike, waiting nearby to drive her home, sees them together. He approaches their table with jealousy burning in his chest as his heart aches at the sight of them together, while Billy calmly tells him that he should trust his wife because she's done nothing wrong. Later in private, Spike and Siri argue. Exhausted, Siri breaks down and admits she no longer knows whether their marriage is real or fake, because one moment he acts jealous and caring, and the next he's cold and indifferent. She begs him to tell her how he truly feels, but he stays silent. That night, Spike visits a close friend, who bluntly tells him that his silence speaks louder than words. He's already in love with his wife, and the only person who doesn't see it is him. Realizing this, Spike finally accepts the truth. The next morning, when he goes to tell Siri everything, he discovers she's gone. Siri has returned to her hometown, standing before the same mountain she once mentioned, the one she could never climb or tear down. She wants to say goodbye to her sister, to the weight of grief and guilt that has haunted her for years. A man at the base of the path offers to help her climb, but his intentions turn sinister when he tries to take advantage of her. At that very moment, Spike appears, breathless and furious, having tracked her location through her phone. He punches the man and pulls Siri to safety. Trembling, she admits she came to the mountain to finally let go of her past, and together they begin to climb. And halfway up, she tells him everything, how she's been living in her sister's shadow, how she blames herself for what happened, and how she's terrified of losing the people she loves. When they reach the bridge at the top, Siri places a small flower there and whispers a farewell to her sister, thanking her for bringing Mari into her life. Turning around, she finds Spike watching her with tears in his eyes. He walks closer, wraps his arms around her, and confesses that he's happy because he finally married the woman he truly loves. Siri, afraid to believe, asks him to stop lying, but Spike insists that it's the truth. He loves her deeply, more than he ever thought possible. She starts to cry, and he kisses her again, sealing the promise they both needed. That night, at a small mountain inn, they finally give in to their feelings and become one, bound not by obligation, but by love. On their way home, Siri gives Spike a handmade ring she designed herself. He slips it on proudly and places another on her finger, saying he wants the world to know she's his wife. From that day on, their marriage becomes real. They share laughter, warmth, and quiet domestic joy. For a time, everything is perfect. Spike balances work and family, and the children feel more loved than ever. But peace never lasts forever. The grandfather suffers a heart attack after learning the real reason behind the protagonist's marriage. And how did he find out? Because Billy told him. Then she slaps him across the face, furious, but he finally reveals the truth about who he really is. Billy is Spike's long-lost brother, the one who was sent abroad years ago, and he once had a relationship with Siri's late sister. That relationship ended after she broke up with him, confessing that she was pregnant with another man's child. Siri demands to know who the father was, and Billy reveals the name. It was Spike. He even shows her an old photo of them together. That's why Billy's entire plan for revenge has always been aimed at Spike. He believes Spike and his family destroyed his happiness and stole the love of his life. To make matters worse, she finds out the heartbreaking truth. The real reason Spike married her was to take her daughter away. She snaps and demands a divorce. Spike tries to tell her the truth, that although the marriage began as an arrangement, his feelings became real, but she can no longer believe him. She leaves the signed divorce papers behind, and Chen, hearing everything, runs after her, crying and begging his father not to let them go. Siri takes Mari and leaves for her parents' house. The two children, desperate to reunite, communicate secretly through their smartwatches and decide to run away to find each other. They get lost on the way, but eventually meet on a bridge, where our protagonists finally find them. The four of them hold each other tightly, tears streaming, simply thankful to be together again. The next day, she discovers that Billy lied to her. He was never really her sister's boyfriend. In truth, he suffers from schizophrenia and often imagines things that don't exist. Because of that, she's warned that he's dangerous and should be careful around him. Returning home, Spike pleads with her not to leave him again. He confesses that he's never loved anyone like her and that he feels empty when she's not beside him. For the sake of their children, Siri agrees to return home, though she remains cautious. Together with Tom, she helps Spike save his company from being stolen by Billy, who has become a major shareholder. With a clever plan, they expose his manipulation, restoring Spike's position as CEO. Days later, she begins feeling dizzy and secretly takes a pregnancy test. It's positive. Wanting to surprise Spike, she keeps it to herself, planning to give him the complete family they both longed for. But trouble strikes again when Billy, now consumed by hatred, shows her a fake recording suggesting Spike was responsible for her sister's death. Confused and shaken, she shows the tape to Spike, who notices inconsistencies and takes it to Grandpa. The elder finally reveals the truth. Siri's sister had asked Spike's brother for money in exchange for seeing her children. And during their argument, an accident occurred that cost her life. Realizing she's been manipulated again, Siri walks into the garden to clear her head, only to faint. When she wakes, everyone is smiling around her, congratulating her on the pregnancy. Overwhelmed, she apologizes to Grandpa for misjudging him, and he tells her it's time to live her own life without fear. Spike holds her close, whispering that it doesn't matter whether they have a boy or a girl. What matters is that their family is together and happy. But Billy isn't done. He calls Siri, pretending to congratulate her, and then threatens that he'll take care of her child if she doesn't leave Spike. Siri warns him to stay away. Enraged, Billy kidnaps Chen and Mari, intending to send them away to their real mother. Using the boys' smartwatch, Siri and Spike track them down to a secluded place, the same spot where Billy once spent time with Siri's sister. Billy, torn between vengeance and the ghost of his past, hesitates. Seeing Mari, who looks just like her biological mother, his anger melts. When Siri and Spike arrive, he breaks down, whispering that he only wanted to be loved like them. The police take him away, and as he's led off, Chen hugs Siri tightly, confessing that he knows she isn't his real mother, but that he loves her more than anyone else, because she loves him even more than a real mother would. Life slowly returns to peace. One morning, while Siri waters the garden, Spike joins her, smiling softly, and asks if they can finally make things right. She laughs with tears in her eyes and nods. From that day on, their love feels new again, genuine, and unbreakable. Spike is waiting on one knee, holding a new ring. He tells her that she is both his weakness and his strength. His weakness because she's the only one who sees his true self without judgment, and his strength because she's given him a reason to become better every day. They renew their vows in front of family and friends, with Chen and Mari proudly standing beside them, waiting eagerly for the newest members of their family, twins, who will soon complete the love story that began as an arrangement but blossomed into the purest form of devotion.